What's happening, everybody? Time for another malt review. It's Mikey M. Narby. We are going to be reviewing a bottle of Glen Grants, bottled by Gordon and MacPhail. It's a 1958 vintage, bottled in 2011, making this a 53-year-old Glen Grant from a first fill sherry butt. So, I think you guys, for those of you who watch us frequently, you hear us mention things like old Glen Grants, old Longmorns, and they're, to us, and then to be known as some of the very best sherried whiskeys from the past. And Gordon and MacPhail have bottled several of these that are just incredible. We don't have the full bottle remaining anymore because we bought this years ago, and what we did is it was for what do you keep staring at? It was bottled for we had the bottle for a whiskey club, and it was a little bit remaining, and I transferred it into this, and all I did was label it 1958. I just knew which 1958 it was. Put it in here, and the reason for it is I didn't want the contents to change too much. Just a little bit left in the bottom of the bottle is not the best thing to do because I didn't want the oxidation to change it because it was so tasty the way it was. So therefore I just put it over here, and knowing that it wouldn't change that much with very little air in it. So that's why it's here. I wish I would have kept the full bottle, but we didn't. Anyways, the color on this whiskey is a very rich, dark mahogany color, full blast, as you would expect from a first fill sherry for 53 years, 1958 vintage. This is actually bottled at 40% ABV. A lot of these bottlings were bottled at 40%. All right, without further ado, this has been breathing for a while now, and with this bottle be sitting in the cask for that long, it's going to oxidize anyways in there. After all those years, right away, this thing is almost ready to go, but it has been breathing on the nose. It's got this old, almost cognac, like rich sultanas and rum raisins and toffee and all kinds of caramels and just toasted oak and vanilla and just really, really creamy and just extremely perfumey and rich. And yeah, it's got that balsamic element and that cola richness and all those elements of an epic sherry cask. It's what you would expect from something that you would consider an epic sherried aged whiskey. This is what I would expect. What you got to add to it, Mikey?
Just the the textures of all the different sherry elements, like vinegars, oils, spices, super rich, thick cola, all these fragrances. And then it's like these casks were stored underground where it was really dark and damp. And it's just so that muskiness of the sherry. It's like we talk about that old moldy sherry, but in a good way, is just unbelievable in this, like good old Macallan's in the 60s or 50s.
We recently reviewed the 50-year-old Last Drop, the red bottle of that, the one that was 50.9% ABV. This reminds me of that in a lot of ways, and I remember in that review I did mention old Glen Grant because a lot of similarities going back and forth. That one was a cask strength though, and this one's at 40, but I'm telling you, at 40% you're getting a lot. So it's just very luscious. It's got those really sugary cooked jams, just just lots of fruits, but they're all in the jam form because they're so sweet. It's got it's not spicy at all, but it's got that light cinnamon in there. It's very velvety. It's ultra velvety. I can't even imagine this at like 46%. Wow.
I know, be nuts. And because it's so old, 53 years old, and these old Glen Grants and Longmorns actually too are known for this. You get that so much of that old furniture, like old multi-hundred-year-old furniture, being an antique store, old dusty bookstore. Lots of age, some actually new, brand new horse saddle leather, but mostly old aged leather, old aged rubber tires.
This is as close it's definitely malty, but it's as close to cognac as you're gonna get from a single malt. It's approaching that kind of sweetness, not too sweet at all. It's beyond gorgeous, but it's going towards that end. So if you told me that you're a high-end cognac drinker, which whiskey should I try? I don't think I could ever think of a better one than this. On the palate?
Let's do it. The palate. Yeah, it's like a hybrid. Two different spirits in one.
Wow. Creamy mouthfeel. Loads and loads of jam. Dark red fruit jams. Even getting hints of pear and apple in there as well. So soft, velvety. Getting those tannins. It's woodsy. It's not spicy at all. It's just so smooth and creamy. Loads of toffee. Toasted oak, toasted vanilla. It's a caramel chew. It's a sticky toffee chew. Absolutely gorgeous. Definitely some of that leather now kicking in. Even hints of nuttiness kicking in. Just absolutely gorgeous. It's dry. It's a dry whiskey. You're getting those dry elements, but for me, it's adding to it. It's letting you know that it's been sitting in oak because you're getting all those fruits and dessert flavors all coming through. So the wood plays in with that rather than the wood just taking over all of that. It's a first fill sherry, just absolutely gorgeous. For 53 years, you're definitely going to get some oak.
You think so? Yeah. I get lots of actually toasted coconut. Lots of dark, rich honey. Milk chocolate, dark chocolate. Both amazing, yet both distinctly separate. The usual toffee, dried figs. Yeah, sultana is like really quality, high-grade sultanas. The essence of sherry. But then still, yeah, getting a lot of the old moldiness, the old furniture, the old books. Old antique store. Like dusty leather suitcase that hasn't been opened forever. All those elements. Red fruits, even a little tropical fruits. A little bit of cinnamon, spices, baking spices, mulling spices. Really nice wood play. Like a little bit drying in the back, but mostly just really tasty wood. Tasty old oak, 53 years old. Just amazing.
It's so luscious. It's the finish is lingering, but you want more. Like I finished it, just so yummy. That's the main negative part, is that you could just keep drinking this. It's really, really luscious. You can almost give this to anyone, and they would like it. This is like, it's one of those things where you could literally give it to someone who does not drink whiskey, and they will like it. It comes very easy, yet it's so full and explosive for that connoisseur who's looking for that ultra premium spirit as well. It's just so beautiful. I would love to try this at slightly higher ABV, but I'm getting very greedy. It's so good. It's the one other thing I'm getting now. It's really reminding me of snickerdoodle cookies. That buttery sugar cookie with that cinnamon and brown sugar kind of playing in, just coming straight out of the oven. You're getting that cookie dough smell along with that cinnamon brown sugar smell. Just, it's so good.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves a dram of this for Christmas. It's really what it is.
Such a Christmas dram.
Yeah.
And actually, from when the cinnamon spices kick in and the oak play kicks in, I get this crazy effect. I had another sip to make sure. It almost becomes like bitter and goes into like the herbal world. So I'm getting all kinds of crazy exotic herb elements out of this as well. Just highlighting the crazy complexity that this whiskey has. It literally covers the entire spectrum. That's what we always talk about, why Scotch is our favorite versus like bourbon or rye whiskey, even Japanese whiskey. This covers the entire spectrum that you can ever imagine in one spirit.
It's awesome. This bottle, by the way, I think when we got it for around $400. Now it goes for closer to $1,200 to $1,500. Is it worth it? It actually, scary thing to say, it is worth it, because I don't think you get much better whiskey for the money. You might be able to get equal quality whiskey for a little less money if you really hunt down a really good bottle, but you won't, if you want to compare to other spirits in the same price range. I just don't think you get much better. Now, it's just weird in the whiskey world. Obviously now 50-year-old spirits that are really high quality go for multiple thousands of dollars, and it's absolutely insane. But if you have the money and that's how much money you're going to spend on a bottle, this has to be an option. So, you know, if you're looking to spend between $1,000 and $1,500, this should be considered.
Phenomenal.
You know, let's say you want to compare it to, let's say, a Macallan 25, this is better. So just kind of thinking about it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely incredible whiskey. And the finish now, you would think that it would just linger on with dry woods, but it's actually, the dry woods is only about 10% back here. It's all the fruity jams and the delicious desserts and the everything else just kind of sitting right there mainly, and it's just lingering on with that, with some dry leather back here, just the way you would want an old sherried whiskey to be. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is a 94 out of 100 for me.
Same exact score, 94 out of 100, super strong.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I wish I could afford 5 of them.
A case.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. All right, you guys, we appreciate you guys watching. Comment below if you guys have tried any old Glen Grants bottled by Gordon and MacPhail or by somebody else. We haven't gotten to try too many whiskeys like this, but when you do, it's a special moment.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys, we'll see you guys soon. Cheers.
Cheers.